So, okay, we're a little bit late, but Gunner's gonna do the drawing. So it's $160 today.
Say thank you.
Crispy buys lunch.
Am I in there? Do I know if I'm in there?
Yeah, you're in there.
I'm gonna start like everybody else. Are.
Dang.
Let's see.
Let's
Did
see if
Mace
Gally's
Jelly
on.
get in today?
There you go. Ghost Rider.
Who is a Zoom user?
Aw, too bad. So
180 next week.
Is that Tam's guy? Is he calling to go over to the apartment?
I don't know, you wanna talk to him? It's Art.
Hello?
Mhm. All right, you guys. Any special memos, Sarah, before we get started?
No, I know that this is kind of a boring but necessary training, and it's super important that we understand the timelines, how to make sure we're professional, that our clients are protected, because guidelines are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so off we go. And it did say I was hosting the training. I am not hosting the training. Jackie is hosting the training.
But Sarah will be plugging in.
I'll just be interjecting.
So today's slides was comprised off of Axon's training from the Axon University. It is called Transaction Life Cycle. Now, you can go in on the Lightspeed. You can quote unquote watch the training. It's not a video. It is a PDF per category for you to read. So this weekend I went through, I was doing a few of the trainings myself. I picked topics I already knew just to see what extra tidbit Axon had that I may have not known, like, ooh, I should incorporate that to what I already do. And there was a few pieces I did find, so that is why I do still like doing trainings, even if it's a training that I feel like I'm already strong in. I like going back to, because what if they catch something I don't already do? And so, or other offices don't preach, but I love that I found they preach the 7 don'ts that I've been habitual about, but other brokerages never really put a lot of effort into bringing about. And so the fact that they have it in there was a happy for me. So I do encourage you to check out Lightspeed. There is a PDF that is comprised of the 43 PDFs that they have in there that we can share with you. I basically already downloaded it all. Or you can go into the Axon Lightspeed and look at it yourself. You get credit if you go into your Lightspeed yourself. If you just get the PDF that we share with you, you don't really get credit on Lightspeed. But as long as you have it and you look at it, I'm happy.
I saw you on the leaderboard at the top.
I know.
I love Chase.
That was intentional. That was me exploring all those trainings. But mind you, I did the trainings that I'm already strong in just to get refiller, so I wasn't missing stuff.
Not refill hours, in other words.
And to get my credit.
Status,
Yeah, to get my status, to get recognition for, I already know this, but now I know it for your way too. So mindset shift, keep in mind when you're first getting your offer accepted, your job is to persuade, your job is to negotiate and get your buyer into what it is, understanding what they want on the property itself. This is the transaction from more or less the buyer side once you're executed. Okay, executed contract. Once you're accepted, you're more of a communicator, facilitator of the operations, the paperwork, the deadlines, the coordination. Yes, you have a transaction coordinator. Yes, you have, that is basically your assistant. You still need to be working with them on your timeline. You need to understand it. Usually your first 3 deals is where you're getting the grounds to understand the process of a transaction. By your 4th deal, you kind of more or less have the reins as to what the process is. By 5th and 6th, now you start discovering all your one-offs, your little special surprises. Once you have funded and closed, your job turns into friend, supporter, mentor, and all-knowing real estate guru for them to still be in contact with your clients. Maintaining your relationship is important after the fact too. So your 3 roles is client communicator, explain what's happening, communicate with your clients. When I was TCing for agents, I did not like talking to clients because in many cases I was more knowledgeable than the agent. I didn't want clients asking, well, who's my agent? Instead, I was whispering in the ear of the agent, telling them what to tell their client. So then when they were calling their client's like, oh, you're the superstar, you know everything. They're in the back of their mind, they're like, I know this because I got Jackie. And that's always helpful. Strategy to decision maker, that's you. You're the one advising them as to how to handle it. There are some sellers that they want to control everything, and there are some buyers that also want to control everything, while others that rely on you to control it and guiding them and telling them what to do and how to do it in order to win. When you're weak or new and don't know for sure, piggyback off the different styles. So for me, and Jared, I've seen it, he's done it. He'll ask Chris, Sarah, Louise, ask more than one person for their style, because then you know how to apply it for your client. Because I might not use one tactic with one client, but I might use it on another one. So depending on it, on how you want to strategize your process, you want to make sure you pick the brains of others, of those that have come before you. Other side negotiator, lead human conversation. So you're part of that communication itself. You're communicating amongst the lenders, the escrow, the agents, and the TCs as well. Everybody. And more than anything, to your client. You're summarizing it to them. So in your 30-day transaction, your first 72 hours is the most crucial part. It is making sure everybody that needs to know knows. Then within your 3 to 14 days, that's your inspection window. And we're going to dive deeper into each of these categories. Days 14 through 21 are your appraisal and loan underwriting situations. Your 21 is your pivot point. This is usually where you found all your hiccups. Usually this is where you're renegotiating because of inspections, appraisals, all that fun stuff. And then between 21 and 30 days is usually when you're closing or preparing to close, where it's, if you're happily that everything's done nice, buttoned up, we're just sitting and waiting to hit the close button because seller finally took out the last of their stuff. So your first 72 hours, why it's so crucial. You need to make sure you have the fully executed contract. Make sure the TC knows about it. Make sure the other agent's TC knows about it. Sometimes some agents don't use a TC, so they don't like when other agents do use TCs. Guess what? You're hurting your own deal by not having everyone's assistants and TCs included in there. Make your life easy. Make sure anyone that needs to know knows. So make sure when you're messaging escrow, certain escrow companies have a team email that you make sure it goes to the whole escrow. If you're using a good local TC that knows our area, they usually already know our escrow officers and who their teams are, who to be included in those emails. Same with the lender. Lender has their assistant that needs to be included. If you already know ahead of time who to include, the TC takes care of that. Your TC needs to make sure the documents are uploaded into SkySlope within 72 hours. So the minute there's an accepted offer, SkySlope should be created and the doc should be in there. A transaction checklist should have been created in Lofty or SkySlope, in which it has the checklist of what steps are to take place. So in the checklist, you can adjust them. So if I know I created my contract to be a 10-day inspection period, I better shift that checklist from the inspection period from a standard 17 over to just 10. Vice versa, based off the contract, adjusting how I need it. Or in the case of, I know my client is going to be going on vacation for this amount of time, I need to make sure inspections are scheduled before they leave. We need to hurry up and get that done. So make sure you're accounting for that when you're updating your checklist itself. EMD instructions need to be in there within 72 hours. So most agents fail to explain to their buyer how that takes place. So oftentimes, especially with new agents, it's a common misstep that they're calling me on at the end of week 1 and saying, hey, whose job is it to get the EMD in there? Your job to communicate it to make sure your buyer has their EMD in there. So escrow does not patrol it in the sense of really saying right away, like, oh, day 3, I don't have it. Some do, some don't. So you can't be relying on escrow to be the one checking that. Agents and TCs are the ones to ensuring that EMD is in there within the 3 days. Escrow should have been open within the 3 days. Now, realistically, you had to execute a contract Friday night. escrow's not going to be opened within the first 72 hours. It'll get opened on Monday. But realistically, it'll get opened by Monday. The email should have been sent to escrow, though, over the weekend. Even though escrow didn't start their job, they should have already been the email to trigger that start date.
And day one of the transaction is not when escrow is opened. Day zero is once everything is signed, and then it's day one.
Correct. So keep in mind on that. Lender notified. Make sure lender has it. Lenders as well as agents have a tendency that we have moved brokerages and offices. I have seen where they failed to give the lender to the right lender email the contract. And then we waited for a whole week and discovered lender never even had it. Don't let that happen. Make sure it's there. So TC agent should be communicating and having talked to the lender too. Because even if the lender didn't get it via email, there was already a phone call conversation. They know. So your 72-hour compliance gate. Executed documents must be in SkySlope within 72 hours. TC handles that, uploads entire into the folder itself. Agent's job is to make sure the communication's taking place, and then it should all be in Lofty as well. Many of our agents are falling short on doing the Lofty part. In your Lofty, you should have your clients in there. In your Lofty, you should be putting in your notes as to what's taking place. If there was an event that something were to take place that resulted in a DRE audit, resulted in a hiccup, if you were putting in Lofty all your appointments from the inspection period, your communications, Lofty already has all that data in there, so you could easily find it in one spot versus having to comprise it back and forth. So your notes should be in Lofty. We should be utilizing Lofty to communicate within our TCs and ourselves, something we have been falling short on. This is a really good tool that we are all falling short on doing. Critical dates. So your accepting dates. So like Sarah said, accepting dates is not when escrow is open. It is when it is fully executed and presented over to the last principal. Make sure that is understood and noted so you count your days from there. So your EMD deadline, that is found on the contract based off what you guys wrote in there. Inspection window, once again, based off the contract. If you shorted your inspection period, it needs to be noted and acknowledged. So don't assume it's automatically 14 days, 7 days. Look at the contract to confirm what you put in. Yes, Mr. Wayne.
Default 17, right?
Yeah, for us. This one pulled from the national one because it's accents breakdown, which is across all the states. So a lot of this will pull from the various states. So it's based off of what you put into the contract itself, though. So appraisal deadline, and keep in mind your inspection window. Just because you have 17 days, you don't wait till 17 days to do your inspection day, right? You need to be done by that day. So one of my pet peeves is when I get a request for repairs and the buyer's agent's requesting that we provide an inspection on something. That should have already been done. Your roof inspection should have already been done. Unless it's a septic inspection and well inspection, that should have been acknowledged at the contract state, not after. But I have received where an agent sends me a request for a roof inspection on a request for repairs. I don't agree with that. Appraisal deadline, making sure that appraisal is done and ordered according to the timeline. Your loan financing deadline, making sure. So our contracts all changed everything to 17 days in California, but it used to always be 21 days. I typically still change my contingency date for loans to 21 days. I still put mine back there. So final walkthrough, 1 to 3 business days before. So many agents fall short on doing the walkthrough before closing. That is a big disservice to your client. You don't ever want to assume that nothing changed. Unless you're doing a 5-day escrow, there's no reason for you to be skipping a final walkthrough. Right, Sarah?
Right.
Also, should be noted that these inspection period dates are not automatic. You have to request them. So here on the listing side, you get to day 17, you have to request it to be removed.
I don't know if you guys can hear Chris online, but what he's talking about is not a passive removal of contingency time periods, you have to sign to remove them. If somebody has not signed to remove contingencies, the contingency is still in place.
And we'll go deeper into that on the contingency slide too. No, you're fine, because it doesn't hurt to reiterate, because that is a very important item. Our inspection window. Selecting inspectors. It is important for you to give your clients options. Tactically, you're supposed to give 3 options of everything. Realistically, that's what protects you, so that they allows them to, that they had a say in who they selected. Now, when it comes to inspections, as a brand new agent, I always encourage a brand new agent to be present for the first few, so that you learn, you know what they're looking for, you know what they're looking at. That's how I came to learn a lot when I'm walking through a house, identifying
If
things.
the inspector's going to allow it.
Yeah.
Some inspectors do not want an audience.
Okay.
They want to do their thing. They want to meet you at the end.
Yeah, at the end for sure. Always, well, there's some agents that don't show up for the inspection at the end. I do for the ending as much as I can,
I do not.
and that's okay.
I work off the report.
Yeah, but as new agents,
It would be a good practice.
it's a great practice to learn. Yes.
Also on that note, you have to be careful because some, if it's occupied and you're not planning on showing up, some agents get weird about that.
Yes, yes. Some agents, when you call to schedule the inspection, see what the expectation is from the other side, from that listing agent, because a lot of them just assume you are going. I will do everything within my power not to go sit at an inspection for 2 to 3 hours. But if they are going to require somebody, then I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
So, and you don't want to be caught off guard, and then an inspection is scheduled, and now you can't get in because, plus you have to know how to get them in anyway.
Yep, you got to coordinate the access. You got to schedule the inspection period, the inspection dates, and then after that inspection takes place, you need to make sure you review the report. If you have questions on the report, make sure you call the home inspector and actually talk to them about it. Don't just forward over the report to your client without looking at it first. At least
Jackie, can I add?
Yes.
I always walk through with the inspector if they do allow it, because you learn a lot.
Mm-hmm. But like Sarah said, at the end is the most ideal, because while they're actually doing the inspection,
They
then
don't
you
want
got,
to stop to
you're
talk.
getting in their way. You're not letting them inspect. So you want to be there towards the end when it's summary time of the inspection. Let them do their thing and then ask questions and walk through with them of the property to go over the items.
Yeah.
And they're
I
gonna
guess it
show-
depends on the,
and especially if the clients are coming,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're there during the inspection, and then they've got to readdress everything at the end. They just don't want. I would go at the end with my clients.
Correct.
That's the perfect time.
And then also tell that, you should always, a good agent will tell their home inspector, if something major pops up, call me immediately, so that way you can have time. You don't wanna be out there with your client and he hits you with some major thing and
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And typically when I'm doing a walkthrough with my clients, and if they're not getting a vibe like as to how serious is this item, I'll kind of ask the question like, is it something we need a general contractor for, or is it something you can do, find out a YouTube video and do it yourself? And usually the inspector will give us a guide as to what we're looking at.
Well, and a lot of sellers do not want buyers in their home for 2 to 3 hours. A lot of sellers don't want that.
I don't know.
They don't want why is the buyer there for all this time? I've had people say, the sellers, because everybody has cameras now,
Mhm.
right? Hey, the buyers are there. Why are the buyers there for 2 to 3 hours? They don't need to be there
4
for
hours.
2. Yeah, 4 hours. It's just a recipe for disaster to have a client the buyer go for that amount of time.
Mhm.
Plus, you always run the risk, and we've all run into this with home inspectors. Some inspectors say more than what they should, and they start going off about something they see. They can kill a deal faster than anything else. That's why it's so important which home inspector you use and how they handle.
And then after the report is when you start negotiating your request for repairs. Pet peeve of mine, is where you send me the checklist and it just says what's wrong, but you don't tell me whether you want it replaced, whether you want it fixed, what is it you want done. Other pet peeves
About home inspections?
about the request for
Oh, that's
repairs?
probably a whole nother class.
The
I
snippet, your
reference the
big.
page number.
Yes.
So I'll reference the page number.
Oh, how about the people that say see home inspection? You know, just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Don't do
send
that.
over the whole home inspection. I've had agents do that, and I called one agent, and I just said, look I'm not doing your job for you.
Yeah.
If you're gonna ask for everything, put it on the request for repairs. You're not gonna do this, like, I'm not doing this. So that is one, I think they just gotta be clear about what they
Yes.
want, and it does make it easier if you reference the page number, because then you can go, oh,
Yes.
it's this.
Mhm.
And then at the time that you're prepping your request for repairs, do you kind of already help set the expectation for your clients with what's customary that they're gonna usually will accept and what they won't accept as repairs?
No,
or
I just say this is not a list of repairs. This is not a repair list. This is a
Wish
blueprint.
list.
This is a blueprint of your house, so you know what you're getting yourself into.
Mhm.
And of course, they can ask for whatever they want. They're the boss.
Mhm.
But I also tell them the more you ask for, the greater chance that they're going to pick the little ones and not do the ones you really wanted. So narrow it down to what you really want, health and safety, and go for those. But if you want anything else, I'll do it. But hurts our chances.
Yes. And so when you're doing your first set of requests for repairs, make sure you are asking one of the knowledgeable agents to help guide you with that when you're still new. What agents do for the inspections? They choose a thorough inspector. Ideally, you should give your clients a list of 3. I try to. Attend the inspection at the end of the walkthrough to do a walkthrough itself. Review the report with the buyer. Separate normal maintenance and serious concerns, and then coordinate the repair, the credit, walk decision, however you're going to want to do your request for repairs itself. The appraisal process. So lender orders the appraisal. It is assigned. Appraiser then coordinates with usually the listing agent to go to the property and be there. Typically, it's a listing agent that tries to be present for the appraisal itself. If a buyer's agent wants to be there, I've only done it whenever I've done a loan where I'm anticipating that my buyer's covering all repairs because we wanted it, and we said we do lender repairs too. That's when I go to the appraisals to help control what the repairs list the appraiser puts in. Is usually my forte on that. So the listing usually is the one to be present for the appraisal. They're the ones that coordinate the time. So from a buyer side and buyer TC, your job is to confirm it got scheduled, it's set to take place, and when it's taking place. Once the appraisal is complete, it goes back to the lender. Lender sends it back to you. Oh, if they send it to you. If not, they just give you the summary. If you are the listing agent and you're being present for the appraisal, it's good to have your recent comps ready for you. As a buyer's agent, you should have some already ready too in case of the event that the house isn't appraised. You already know more or less what you're up against. Improvements and upgrades. So having the list of what bonuses are there to share with the appraiser helps them in understanding what are the extra highlights of the property itself. Even though many cases, most of agents have already posted it on the MLS in the marketing remarks, it doesn't hurt to have a bullet point checklist of extra upgrades of the property itself. Neighborhood information, I don't really do any of that. I just give them the basic comps and provide a clear appraisal packet. I don't know what that means, but usually I just do is giving them my comps, and if I do have a list of upgrades or bullet points, I'll put that in there with it.
And it's a fine line you walk with an appraiser. Be very careful. There's egos involved.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go in blazing with, oh, these are comps, this is what it's worth. I always go at it like, you know, I have some, would you like to see the comps that I used to price it? Would you like to see the comps? If you go in too harsh with them, you could have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are okay, some of them aren't. Like the last one I did, that one out on Rose, Chris, that guy was great. You know, I just walked in, hey, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm here, because Chris was gone, and so I went, and I just said, can I answer any questions? He had a question about the fence line. And I said, oh yeah, let's walk back there. And then he said, okay, I'm gonna walk around the house. And I just let him do it. I said, okay, I'm gonna wait out here. I'm gonna wait outside. And when he came out, I go, do you have any questions? And he said, no, great. I told him, I said, I have some comps. Do you wanna see what Chris used? He said, yeah, I gave those to him. He said, yeah, I'll take a look at them. And then I said, Chris had multiple offers on this property. And he goes, oh, great to know. He goes, yeah, I love this neighborhood. I asked him a few questions. It was great. Off he went, off I went. And we made value, right, Chris?
We made 5,000 low, but, we made it work.
Yeah, there we go. So it's close. I didn't do that very job, Chris.
When you're in the sevens, 5,000 is okay.
Chris, why don't we have you come over here and address how you handled your it came in low?
For real.
Oh,
So when the appraisal comes low, you can either have buyer come in the difference, they can reduce the price, or they split the difference. Usually it's a renegotiation point itself, right? When the appraisal doesn't come in.
You should know where you're at though, on it, how what the risk was.
right. So
So
what?
this, I don't show up to all of them, but this one I knew was gonna be close, so I wasn't surprised that it was 5,000 low. So I prepped my sellers ahead of time, talked to them, and they're like, no, we're not moving an inch. So I prepped the buyer ahead of time, the buyer's agent. I said, hey, just so you know, we're not moving. If this thing comes in low, they're not moving a single ounce, on this. But we, pulled all the stops. Sarah went out, met with them, did that whole stuff because I knew it was gonna be close.
And we do not remove loan contingency because this is all about time periods. I mean, let's talk about time periods here.
Yep.
So we do not remove loan contingencies while you're negotiating all of this. Inspection contingencies while you're doing inspections, right? Repairs. You do not remove it till repairs are negotiated. Appraisal contingency until the appraisal is in. But really, appraisal and loan all link in. They technically all link in. But loan, go into what the loan contingency is, Jackie.
So before you want to actually release your loan contingency, confirm with your lender, confirm that the formal loan application has been completed, that all credit, income, assets have been verified, we're good, make sure the appraisal is done, make sure underwriter has reviewed appraisal and already good, and make sure you have all conditional items approved that we're pretty much good to go before you release the loan contingency. Last thing you ever want to do is release loan contingency and then have a surprise that underwriter called something new.
But
now.
So I'm going to disagree because we've got clear to close up here. You cannot hold up
No.
removing a loan contingency for a clear to close.
No.
That is on the lender.
Yeah.
If I'm on the listing side and we're on day 21, that's on that honestly, you cannot hold it up.
No.
Because that is on that lender. They pre-qualified that person. They should have already had all this worked out.
Yeah.
I had one with an agent, and I won't say her name, but she would not remove contingencies because they didn't have the clear to close. Not my problem.
Just the loan.
Just the loan. Not my problem.
Yeah.
Not my problem. Because it was my house, my personal house, and I said, no. Is the lender saying it's going to close? Yes. Then
you release
remove
it.
the contingencies. Well, their deposit. Not
As
my
agreed on
problem.
the contract.
Not my problem. So that's where timeframes come in.
Yeah.
Do for your sellers. Do not let them go on and on and on with the loan contingency. You've got to get, and if they
Yes.
didn't, and I issued a notice to perform.
Yes.
Because I wanted it gone.
Did they release it?
Yes.
Yes.
And how
Because-
long the notice to perform?
Cheers. And keep in mind though is as a buyer's agent, you need to it does benefit you to make sure it is done
Yes.
because it ensures you that your buyer is committed, as well as it's holding the lender accountable that they have done their job. I did have a case one time where lender told me flat out, we're good, release loan contingencies. It was with Sarah. Sarah's seller needed it for the house they were buying. 3 days later, the same lender comes back. Mind you, it was his email that said, we're good, release loan contingencies. He comes back with, don't release loan contingencies. Underwriter called something on the appraisal. Too late. told that buyer, your lender's your brother-in-law. He screwed up. He needs to fix it. It was not fun, but it has happened. It's the lender's job to make sure it's done and ready to go by day 21.
So backtracking, because we've kind of gotten off time frames here.
Mhm.
So EMD, we have 3 days to get that EMD in. If it is not, you can issue a notice to perform. It is breach of contract. It's a reason to cancel a contract if an EMD is not in. Day 5, we haven't even talked about seller disclosures. I don't know if that's coming up. But seller disclosures, you have 5 days to get those out to the other side. If you do not get those disclosures out, explain that, Jackie, about the disclosures going out. If they do not go out, what happens with the inspection period?
So disclosures are part of the inspection period itself. So part of your 17-day inspection period, if a disclosure is incomplete, even just that it's incomplete, like there was a question not answered, it's considered incomplete and restarts the review process of disclosures, which is 3 days. So 3 days. Sorry, 3 days. So if you send me a TDS and it's being incomplete and I kick it back to you as a listing agent and say, hey, your TDS is incomplete, you're missing this, this, and that, and so you send me the new one. If I still kick it back because it's still incomplete, from when you send me one that is fully complete, that's when my 3-day ticker starts to review those in which it is part of the inspection. So if you gave that to me on day 17, you just bought me 3 more days to release my inspection period.
Is it 3 or 5?
It's 5.
Oh,
Okay,
5.
five,
Yes,
yeah.
sorry.
Okay, yeah.
It's 5.
And then
Sorry.
I also thought it's 7 for the initial. So once we have an accepted offer, it's 7 days, not 5 days, right?
Correct. Yes, it's on the contract 7 days.
Okay.
Yes, you have to hand over disclosures within 7 days
That's right.
and 5
7
days to review.
To review.
Okay.
So, listen, guys. So that goes back to what I just had a whole class with the TCs about. I want seller disclosures within 72 hours of receiving a signed listing agreement. That way we are professional. They go out immediately. There's nothing better than your house. You get an accepted offer and boom, those seller disclosures go out. We look like professionals. We look good. And also, it's in the best interest of your sellers, because if there's something in there that the buyer doesn't like and they're going to cancel the deal, let them do it right away. Don't wait until. I do not want to hear that other TCs are begging us for the seller disclosures. If there is, I'm going to have a conversation with agents. Why is this happening? Why are we not having seller disclosures? Why is that happening? Because it's got to happen right away. Like we talked about, seller disclosures need to go out immediately before solar. How can you price a house properly if you don't have the solar documentation, that you don't have the solar contract? How do you know until you, is it going to be a benefit? Is it a plus to the property? Is it a minus? So how do you know how to price it? So EMD, seller disclosures. Those are the first 2 that you have got to absolutely deal with. Okay, then go on with inspections, Jackie. Sorry.
So
I got you.
you're good. So then the next thing that it brings up is the buyer don'ts. Being mindful of what kills your deals is if your buyer changes a job, that affects your loan. Your buyer applies for new credit, that affects your loan. They make large financial purchases, new car, new furniture, that can affect their loan. Large unexplained deposits. The client was doing bingo and they would get cash money and all of a sudden have large cash deposits in their bank account. Undisclosed creates a problem. Co-signing for someone else in the middle of the transaction affects your loan. And switching lenders midway and not telling anyone affects the loan. We've seen it happen. It is your deal killers. Title and escrow, that's part of your inspection period. Everything's usually done up front within the first 7 days or so. If you do not have your prelim, it's not been reviewed, you need to be on escrow to make sure that is done and inspected and completed before inspection periods are done. Your 21-day pivot point, when you are releasing contingencies, you should have already reviewed and taken care of all your inspections and release inspection contingency, ideally by day 17. You should have reviewed already appraisal and released appraisal contingency as well as loan. And if you haven't, you should be addressing the issues as to why you're not. If you're not releasing, you need to submit an extension request to the listing agent. As a listing agent, do not just accept the, oh, we're waiting on this. Notice to perform. Because if you, by the time you waited 3 days, your seller's pissed off and they say, I want to cancel them, you have to say, sorry, wait, we have to give them a 2-day notice to perform before I can issue the cancellation. Issue the notice to perform to get their wheels going to get it done.
And
Don't
there's
lag.
no worse conversation than you as a listing agent not having contingent inspection contingencies or all contingencies removed. And on day 28, that buyer cancels. And then your seller, who is furious, wants that deposit. And you have to say, sorry, I didn't have the contingencies removed and you are not legally, that's not yours. That is a horrible conversation to have with somebody.
Or even having to have the conversation with your client when they say, I want to cancel, and you're like, oh, wait, but first I have to give them 2-day notice to do it. Already should have given them that notice so that you weren't having to ask for that cancellation after the fact.
Also, if you're representing a buyer, it's still important to get contingencies removed. Let's lock them into the deal, right?
Yes.
We don't play willy-nilly with them. Get them locked in, even though you are and you come across as way more professional when you are proactive. We're ready. I love it when I'm working with an agent and they say we're ready to remove contingencies. That feels so good to me. I feel like that agent is on top of it. Ultimately, though, your seller is the boss, so you do need to run things by them. Like, hey, they haven't removed contingencies. I communicate all this to my
Yes.
seller. They have not removed contingencies. Do you want me to issue a notice to perform? Because it's almost like drawing a line in the sand, right? You are drawing a line in the sand by doing that. We're not playing as nice anymore. And the buyer might say, that gives the buyer an opportunity to go, no, I just want to cancel. I don't want to remove. But it's better than at the end.
A week later.
Cancel.
Are you more forgiving if it's like your only offer and like, ugh, or no?
No.
No?
No.
Straight across the board?
No, I want to enforce timeframes because if it is your only offer and you're babying it along, and then it doesn't close, look at all the time you've wasted to have it back on the market. If you've got a really vibrant property, maybe you mess around because you know you're going to put it back on the market, it's going to go. But no, I don't.
Something too, in the request for repairs, when I send that over, like on the buyer side, I like to wait till we have the appraisal in, so we know if there's any conditions, and we can put it all in.
Correct.
I don't like to do extra paperwork going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the list side, when I respond, I check the box to remove that inspection contingency, and I send that form with it, so that way that starts that ball rolling of like, we're on top of it, we're doing this.
I agree. Yeah, I always want them to remove at least, I mean, if they do it in bits and pieces, that's okay. Like remove inspection. Because I always feel like that's the one we hassle with the most anyway, right? And then the appraisal comes in and then the loan. But that's why it's so important to use a lender that when they say they are qualified, they are qualified. That way, you know. And because if they're waiting for a clear to close, that is a red flag to me.
Make sure you're adjusting all the extensions early at your 21-day. Usually at the time that you are releasing loan contingencies, that's when you know if you're needing an extension. That's when you know if we're needing time because of the repairs are going to take longer. That's usually when you should already have your extensions done and requested and put in writing.
Yes.
Keyword is in writing. Typical milestones for your contingency removed and transaction moves towards pending. So even if you are requesting an extension for your contingency periods, there is a form for it. You do use the extension of time for it. Usually by day 21, you should have already been negotiating repairs, all that good stuff. Your CDA should already be coming in at this point to me. Okay? If you are still negotiating repairs, appraisal, understand, I totally respect that. But if you're not and everything's good, send me your CDA at this same point. I can't stress that one enough. So we already said our 7 deal killers are usually buyer changes their job, buyer opened new credit, they no longer qualify for the loan, and a really low appraisal in which we weren't able to come to an agreement to negotiate to bridge the gap. There was a major inspection issue that everyone was just completely uncomfortable with, and we couldn't come to an agreement. Unresolved title issues. The title is so bad it cannot be sold. We've seen those. Buyer gets cold feet. Ideally, contingency should have already been released so that EMD was not lost. But if they get their cold feet, it's best if they get their cold feet before contingencies are removed. Other agent goes silent. You do not be the agent that goes ghosting. Sarah gets those phone calls. Sarah gets involved. Final walkthrough. Sarah, do you do 3 days before or 5 days before?
I do 5 or less.
Okay. So typically I try to do the 5 days or less. Here it says usually 1 to 3 days before. I do not like doing the day before. I've had people do the day of closing. That's when they're doing their walkthrough. The day they're giving the same moment they're giving the keys over is when they're doing their walkthrough. That's not what you should be doing. 3 to 5 days before, verify that all repairs have been done. Make sure you check the system that everything's okay. Confirm fixtures that were to remain remained. Usually, as soon as the repairs are done, I like to try to go and confirm. If I'm representing the buyer, I like to go and check that those repairs are done, because it is horrible that you go out there and discover that the repairs are not done and you sat for a week after they said they were done already. The same day they tell me repairs are done, if I'm not available to go that same day, I'll go the next day, but I try to go that same day itself. Confirm seller's belongings have been removed or near removal. Check for any new damages and confirm the keys, remote access, confirm the closing items. All the basic stuff. Where my mailbox are, where my garage door openers is. What a walkthrough is not a reinspection. It's not a time to renegotiate. It's not the opportunity to demand new repairs, and it's not the purpose to confirm property matches the contract agreed repairs. That should have already been done like as soon as you knew repairs were done. But sometimes it is a walkthrough time we are doing it. So I don't
No,
agree
I
with
agree
that.
that the walkthrough is to
Yeah.
verify the property's in the same condition as when you made your offer, and to find out that all repairs are done.
Yeah, so I don't agree with that.
And if
on
it's
them.
not, note it on the VP, send it to them, and it gets them to take care of it. And then,
Yeah.
you know.
So, closing day. Contingency should have been removed far before closing day. Title should have been cleared far before closing day. Loan cleared to close should have taken place the week before. Closing disclosures and waiting period should have been the week before. And then in order to bring us through to actual closing day. So then our final walkthrough should have taken place a week before. Wire instructions as to where the money goes to should have already been clarified the week before. The actual day of closing is when released funds, released to record, and exchange keys, unless there's a seller in possession. Agent closing day checklist. You kind of should already have what your game plan is when you're going to close. Each person's different as to how they handle their closings. Mastering the life cycle is within accepted 72 hours. Right away, get your inspections done, appraisal done, loan done. Your 21 day, almost everything should be wrapped up and doing the final negotiations. Do your walkthrough and close it. Any questions?
There was a checklist you noted on in the very beginning, one of the beginning slides.
Mm-hmm.
What was that checklist for, and where would I find it on Lofty?
I will forward you, I'm going to forward everyone the whole PDF packet that came from this whole life transactions. And there are multiple different checklists in it, from your communication between you and TC, as well as like the file stuff and your timeline, like especially a checklist for the first 72 hours. Did we do these individual items? So that's it's a 43-page PDF that has a lot in there. I geeked out on it. You can.
Checklists are in that.
Mm-hmm. So I will be forwarding that over to everybody. You can either utilize it there, or you can come into Lightspeed and find it on Transaction Lifecycle.
So everybody understands the highlights, right? It's going to be EMD, seller disclosures.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have? Inspection period, appraisal,
Mm-hmm.
loan contingency, and then final walkthrough. I mean, those are in a nutshell, that's it, right? There shouldn't be any, there's others that come into play, but
Yes.
that's really the basic.
Mhm.
You've got to understand what happens if you don't follow those. So if you're not getting seller disclosures out and it goes at the end, they still haven't got seller disclosures and they see something on that TDS, they can cancel. They can cancel, and it also extends the inspection period. So you're just delaying. We want everything buttoned up
Everything should be buttoned up by day 21.
by day 21. We should be relaxing and waiting for this to close.
And keep in mind, when people want to say, oh, it's okay, I have so many days, each day you lose, you only have 5 business days. So you lose 2 days, you lost half a week, technically. 5 business days. So 2 days, you lost half a week. Your life of a transaction is typically 3 to 4 weeks. So if you lost 1 week, you lost a whole week practically. So 1 day is very crucial. So try not to say, oh, it's okay, it's only a day.
Does
That's a
anybody
no-no.
have any questions about anything Jackie covered? We went over a lot, but basically we're really talking about understanding timelines, understanding how it applies to the contract. Anybody have any comments, questions?
What? Oh, go ahead. Bridget. You sure?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh my God.
Jared, you're up. You're right here.
One thing I will say that, and I want Sarah's take on this too, of course. Solar transfers in the middle of your escrow.
Yep.
Some of these companies are only corresponding through emails, and makes it very difficult. There are 3 to 5 business day turnover. So if everything's good, I did this recently on the buying side, release all contingencies except, and I put other buyers solar approval. We were supposed to close yesterday. We're still not closed because that's solar, and that's on the seller side, but protecting my buyer's deposit,
Yeah.
so it's something to kind of keep in mind.
And that's again why we need to have all those solar documents at the very start, not wait until the property goes into escrow. So as soon as that goes, they can start working on those. And see, Rocky does a really good job on solar for me. She gets in there, she calls the solar company, she's in contact with escrow, like she is working diligently because solar's our biggest hang up, one of our biggest hang ups. So that's another reason why and again, if you're not the listing agent, you're the buyer's agent, you're at the mercy of this
Limited.
listing agent. I don't know that I would even remove inspection contingencies until they have that solar
Transfer. Yep.
So he excluded the solar in order to keep that at least as
Yeah.
its own contingency, and that is smart.
That is
Yes.
smart.
Bridget?
Anything else, Bridget?
What I was gonna say on the list side, definitely recommending pre-opening escrow so you can get the prelim ordered and work through that. So if there are issues, you have time to correct it by the time you get an offer. So then when you get that accepted offer and you're in contract, it's smooth.
Yes.
I've had some where it took a few weeks to work through some things. Other ones were fine.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal, but having that peace of mind is something I do present during my listing appointment.
Yep.
Just being like, hey, and on the solar side, if you don't have a copy of the contract, which most of them don't, I ask them to call the solar company and then forward me the email with the contract. A lot of the solar companies, I just won't talk to me as a TC or agent, so I will tell the sellers like, hey, here's your homework, get it done, I'm gonna follow up with you in 2 days. If you have any issues, let me know, like I'm happy to jump on a call with you, but request the contract that you have and then forward that to me so I can look through, get eyes on it. I attach it with seller disclosures. I try to get this out by day 3.
Usually the company will, the seller could authorize you as a,
Sometimes,
if the
yeah,
company's
some do, some
good,
don't.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I like to also, for me, that also helps the seller engage in it and know what's going on and ask questions and
And own it.
yeah.
Well, because especially like in the case of Jared, like when the seller's asking why are we not closing, it's because it's your solar, and then at the same time they're going to have the same problem with any buyer itself. They need it for in order to sell.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too, when we get on the buy side, when we get the seller disclosures in, if I don't see a contract, I'm emailing them, where's the solar contract? I don't see it. I need confirmation on that. And so I have it in writing to them too. So then if I follow up on the same thread, reply all, hey, just following up like every 2 or 3 days, like
Smart.
to get it. And that way it's in writing. So if I have to do a notice to perform, here's the support and evidence that you're not performing.
Yeah.
And I have done notices to perform for disclosures too. I do agree with doing it if they're not giving me disclosures in a timely manner.
You're freaking ruthless.
I had one say because they messed up and they wanted a sip like on day 3 or 4. Like, oh, I forgot to do it. I go, okay, and I'm just like, hey, after our inspection period, we'll get it. We'll get it, but let's just see if there's anything to negotiate, right? And they're like, I go, hey, I'm just following up on disclosures. Silence. Day 7, but we'll give you the disclosures when you sign the SIP.
I was like, well, you're just extending out your inspection period.
Yeah.
So, by all means.
It is, sometimes I think that it's definitely like a,
Ego.
it's
Power
a,
play.
you know, and it's like
Yeah.
a game, like, oh, well, we're not gonna ask for it now because it's gonna change the contract terms. We'll wait till after, once we get this set, and we'll do it, like,
I'm so upfront. I just want to get everything out early and
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
I just want to,
let's just get them.
good stuff.
Let's work together to make the deal happen.
Yeah.
Anything else before we sign off? Do we have any other questions?
What's next week's training again? Office meeting?
Like the office meeting next week.
Office meeting is next week, which will remind the procedures of the office. Action items, if you haven't been partaking, but you have agent portal. Agent portal takes you to your Lightspeed for training, takes you to SkySlope, as well as your Lofty. Please, please, please use your Lofty, use your SkySlope, and explore the training, especially if you're new. New people should always be exploring the trainings.
Yep. Okay.
And meeting.